What's going on, everyone? Chris from Pickdawgz.com here with your college football breakdown for Saturday, October 4th, 2025, Week 6 college football action. We're here to take a look at 10 college football games from this week's card. So make sure that you jump on board. Remember to use the promo code PICK at checkout and get 15% off your purchase when you head over to Pickdawgz Premium. For me, it's a great time to jump on, long-term pass because the 3-day and the 7-day passes are less than buying each of Saturday's daily packages individually. We usually go high volume with these college football cards, and I'm really feeling locked in on this week's cards. So make sure that you check that out. Jump on board. Let's make some money this weekend. Those long-term passes will also get you access to my Sunday NFL card as well, and we've got the NHL coming back on Tuesday as well. So again, check it out and use that promo code PICK at 15% off your purchase. But this is going to be the biggest breakdown we've had this season, 10 games. Normally, I like to try to keep it between 6 and 8, but there were a lot of spots that I liked this week, and I just wanted to be able to share them with you guys, here to make you some money with the breakdown. So let's not waste any more time. You guys know the drill. Are you ready? I'm ready. Let's get into it. Our first game comes to us from Sanford Stadium at 12 p.m. Eastern, where Georgia will host Kentucky. And I just can't trust Georgia as a massive favorite. I understand they are the far better team here, but we've seen Kirby Smart in a lot of these, big line games, even in conference play, just worry about the fundamentals and worry about hammering down what needs to be fixed. And I think that's exactly what could happen here. Kirby Smart's a big game hunter. He goes for, he puts it all in against, the big boys. And fell short against Alabama last week. They played back-to-back field goal games. If you look at earlier this season against teams like Austin Peay and Marshall, they didn't cover in either of those games as well. And I just think this is a game where Georgia's going to just run the clock and run the ball a ton. But the problem for me here is that I can't back Kentucky because Kentucky is catching fewer than 3 touchdowns. I could easily see a 28-7 win for Georgia here where they could cover this line. But again, lane 20 right now with Georgia, just not something I want to do in case you find something like, 34-14, something like that, right along this line. So I'm going to go with the under here. I just think it's going to be a bit of a lower scoring, like I said, clock continuously running kind of game. And I think that the under cashes here. Whether or not Georgia covers is another story, but under 48.5 is going to be my play in this one. Now do we go to one of my favorite situations during the college football season. We got Service Academy football going down head-to-head here. And we've got Navy playing host to Air Force. And this one's going down at 12 p.m. Eastern as well. I liked under in the last game. I like the over in this game. That's crazy for me to say with a total of 53 between two service academies taking an over when historically games of the year for me here at Pick Dawgz have been unders in service academy games because they've been outright money for the better part of the last couple of I shouldn't say for the last couple of years, for the last couple of decades. But the thing here is that you have an Air Force team that was my game of the month last week, and they came out absolutely flat against Hawaii and couldn't get the job done, couldn't get a stop in that game. But a team that's allowed 44 points or more in 3 straight games, team that's also scored 30 plus points in all their games this season. So I think Air Force is going to be able to score something here on Navy, but let's face it, I don't see how Air Force gets stops in this game. We saw last year Navy just ran roughshod all over Air Force, won that game 34-7. And this is still a really potent Navy offense that still runs that, that wing T option that can, do damage against anyone. Even if a service academy, even this is what you prepare against, this is still a Navy team that can run the football, but they also have that aspect of the passing game. And we saw plenty of explosive passes that Air Force gave up last week against Navy. And I think this is just going to be a higher scoring service academy matchup than we're used to seeing in recent years. So I'm going to go with the over 53 between Air Force and Navy. Now we go to this matchup between North Carolina and Clemson at 12 p.m. Eastern. Clemson, a 2-score favorite on the road, and I don't know how. I think that's just sort of plain and simple. I know, that North Carolina was kind of one of those hype teams that a lot of folks maybe had some high hopes for. You bring in Bill Belichick. You expect them to turn this program around. They come out flat. They get absolutely stomped by UCF on the road. They got stomped by TCU at home earlier this season. But the thing for me in this game is, Clemson, I just think is broken. I mean, this is a 1-3 Clemson team, 0-4 against the spread, and they're coming into this game. You think, well, this is must win, do or die, bottom of the barrel, buy low spot on Clemson. But what exactly have we seen to where Clemson should be laying 2 touchdowns on the road against anybody, even North Carolina, besides anything based on name, brand, and public perception? That this you would expect Clemson to be a lot better than they actually are, but I can't get there with the Tigers in this matchup. I think that North Carolina can battle here. I think they can at least keep it respectable. Clemson, this is simply a Clemson's got to show me spot before I invest any of my hard-earned money on the Clemson Tigers. So I'm going to take North Carolina here plus the 14. Wouldn't surprise anybody, or at least it wouldn't surprise me if the Tar Heels potentially won this game outright. Now we go to this matchup at 2:30 Eastern between Western Michigan and UMass. And UMass making their first foray into the MAC after being an independent team for so long, and it has not gone well this season. I mean, they did cover against Missouri last week, but lost that game 42-6. And their 3 games against FCS competition this year, they've given up 42 plus points in each and have scored 10 or fewer points in each. That's 32 plus point margins of defeat for UMass in all 3 of their games. And they also have a loss at home to FCS Bryant on their card as well. And now you're taking on a Western Michigan team that's been able to get after it defensively. They've been really solid, as a defensive unit. And they have a lot of sacks as well. And that's been a problem for UMass offensively this season, is protecting the quarterback. And I just think this is a spot where Western Michigan, I think, can get some sacks in this game. I think they can drum some up on this UMass defense, this UMass offense. I think Western Michigan can just add to UMass's misery here. I mean, we saw Western Michigan get some confidence with the home win over Toledo, a Toledo team that's probably going to be one of the teams to contend for the MAC title, and also blow out a really solid FCS team in Rhode Island. It's a top 10 FCS team as well. So I'm going to go with Western Michigan this one. It doesn't sound right laying almost 2 touchdowns on the road in the MAC, but I think that's just where we are here. Give me Western Michigan in this one. Now we go to 3:30 p.m. Eastern, this matchup between Georgia State and James Madison. And another big road favorite here, but another road favorite that I do like here in JMU. I just think that JMU is the front runner in the Sun Belt right now. And plain and simple, if James Madison is going to stake a claim to the group of 5 bid in the college football playoff, they got to win, and they got to win with style points. And this is a James Madison team that already has their wins by 18, 25, and 35 this season. Their lone loss, the road defeat at the hands of Louisville. Georgia State, on the other hand, they just got blown out by Vandy 70-21. They lost at home to Memphis 38-16. They lost at Ole Miss 63-7. And while those losses don't surprise me for Georgia State, they all have a common thread. They lost big against teams that they were just far outclassed by. And JMU, even though they are a conference team, I think far outclasses Georgia State here. This is a JMU team that can just run the football at anyone. They are 11th in the country and 11th in FBS in rushing yards, and you have a Georgia State defense that is bottom 5 in stopping the run. I think this is just going to be a game where JMU just runs all over Georgia State here, and I just don't think Georgia State is going to have an answer offensively in this game. So I'm going to go with JMU. I'm going to lay the big number. Now we go to this matchup between Northern Illinois and Miami, Ohio, also at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. And another road favorite I'm taking here. I know it's 2 1-3 teams here, but I like Miami, Ohio. I think Miami, Ohio is the better team here. They did get their first win of the season against Lindenwood, and in all honesty, Miami, Ohio was very competitive against UNLV, even in that loss at home in a game that was a near pick'em. Also have road losses to Rutgers and Wisconsin. Northern Illinois, for me, they barely got by Holy Cross in their opener. They've scored 22 points in 3 games since. This might just be the worst offense in the MAC, and I think that Miami, Ohio gets the job done here. Miami, Ohio, solid quarterback play with Henry Hessen or DeQuan Finn, and like I said, I just don't like the state of where this Northern Illinois offense is right now, and I just think that Miami, Ohio wins this one by at least a touchdown. I'm going to go with the Red Hawks in this one, laying the 5.5 points. Another matchup at 3:30 p.m. Eastern pits Northwestern against Louisiana Monroe. And I'm going to just go with an ugly low-scoring slop fest here. I'm taking the under 42 in this game. To me, you have a Louisiana Monroe team that, scored 28 against Arkansas State, 31 against UTEP. But we're also shut out by Alabama. I have no faith in this Louisiana Monroe offense against a power, conference opponent. And I also don't trust Northwestern here. Yes, this is a team that, at home put up 17 against UCLA, 14 against Oregon, 3 on the road against Tulane. They did blow out Western Illinois, but two teams that have a common thread here in subpar quarterback play. Aiden Armenta might be one of the worst group of 5 quarterbacks out there. Preston Stone might be one of the worst power conference quarterbacks out there. To me, this just feels like an ugly game, like a 24-10 win for Northwestern here. They could easily cover, but I don't want to trust Northwestern laying double digits against anybody right now. So for me, the better play here, under 42 between Northwestern and ULM. Now we go to this matchup between Penn State and UCLA at 3:30 p.m. Eastern. No real primetime games for me. I'm just warning you guys this week. I think the cutoff for me is 4 p.m. Eastern, but that's where the bulk of the action is. And here, I'm going to go with Penn State. It may be a square play. It may just be a play that's just a fade of UCLA more than anything else. But I think Penn State's going to be a little bit ticked off after how they lost that game against Oregon. James Franklin had a chance to shake that narrative that he can't win big games. And you come back, you rally against Oregon, and you force overtime, but then you lose the way you did. I think that Penn State's going to come out here and take out some frustration on a UCLA team that just doesn't have answers. I've said before, I don't think Nico Iamaleava is a viable, option for a power conference team. He has had decent performances here and there. The completion percentage has been all right. But again, the offensive production just has not been there. Despite some decent numbers from Iamaleava, this is still a UCLA pass offense. It's 99th in the country, going against a top 20 pass defense of Penn State. Penn State 80th against the rush, 80th in rushing attempts, top 50 against the rush. But 106th is this UCLA offense in terms of running the football. I just think this is a blowout from Penn State. Even if UCLA, even if it's a fade of UCLA more than anything else, a 38-10 win, which is Penn State, I think like half-assing it, would still be enough to get us to the pay window here. So I'm going to take Penn State in this one. I'm going to lay the 25 points. Next, we look at what's a bit of a marquee matchup at 3:30 p.m. Eastern between Notre Dame and Boise State. And initially, I was on Boise State in this one because I'm like, you know what? It's Boise State. It's a name program and a program that, is still fighting for a group of 5, bid in the college football playoff. They're coming off of 3 incredible wins where this team has scored 47, 49, and 51 in 3 straight weeks. But I still have concerns that, they gave up 37 to Air Force. Now, that's an Air Force a team that runs the option, obviously. And, Air Force, it's still a running offense. Even though, the option can be a little bit tricky to defend at times, it's still a run-heavy team. Well, you know who else is a run-heavy team with some of the best running backs in the country? Notre Dame. And this is a Notre Dame offense that can do damage against the best of them. I mean, this is a Notre Dame team that has scored 56 points in back-to-back weeks and against some really stiff competition in Arkansas and even against an improved Purdue team. And we've seen 40 points against Texas A&M, a Texas A&M defense that last week looked much improved. You're going against a Boise State team that against the rush this season is 82nd. They're 93rd in yards per carry allowed. This is a Notre Dame offense that can air the football out. They lead the country in passing yards per game. I think this is a game where Notre Dame could easily put up another 50-burger here. Why? Because Notre Dame's already lost 2 games this season. If you know the college football playoff, 3 lost teams don't make it unless you win your conference championship. But Notre Dame doesn't have that luxury being an independent. So it's now going to be about style points and accruing style points from Notre Dame's perspective. And like I said, we are seeing Notre Dame put the boots to teams offensively and not take their foot off the gas from Marcus Freeman. So yes, this is, a big number. That's why I'm taking Notre Dame's team total over 41.5. But like I said, I could easily see them putting up another 50 spot here. Like I said, this could end up being a shootout. I think this game could easily hit the 80s. But I'm going to go with the team total over here for Notre Dame in this one. And our final game is this match between Oklahoma and Kent State going on at 4 p.m. Eastern. And another team total here, but I'm going to go with Kent State's team total under in this one. You know, this is an Oklahoma team that in their last 3 games against MAC opponents have allowed a combined 12 points. And this is a Kent State team that for me is still one of the worst teams in the country. The reason that I can't get there with Kent State is because you could easily see a blowout against anyone. The two times that Kent State's gone on the road against power competition, they lost 62-14 to Texas Tech and 66-10 to Florida State. The problem that I have with Oklahoma is that they're probably still without John Mateer for this game, and I can't trust Michael Hawkins laying 45.5 points. But what I can trust is this Oklahoma defense, which is still the strength of this Sooners team, in my opinion. And again, Kent State, I just see them having a hard time scoring here. Even though Drew DeShields has been a decent option for Kent State, I still think that Kent State struggles here big time. So I'm going to go with the under in the team total for Kent State in this one. That's it. That's your Week 6 college football breakdown on Saturday, October 4th, 2025. Again, if you're looking for my best bets, you can head to Pickdawgz.com, click the Premium Picks tab or the Experts tab at the top of the page. Like I said, you know, the long-term passes are a great way to go. We're going to have my play of the day from college football that I really like this week. So if you guys are really going to want to make sure that you're on that, because I feel like I'm really locked into this week's college football card. The long-term passes get you the NFL, and we're going to start looking towards the NHL starting on Tuesday as well. So make sure that you check that out. You can pair me up with any of the great cappers at the website. But remember, use that promo code PICK at checkout and get 15% off your purchase. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to smash that thumbs up. Subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. Leave your college football picks in the comment section below. And let's make some money this weekend. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you guys soon.